Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
On July 4th, 1962, I found myself in the lost and found of mankind. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that it wants to be there. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that the person who lost it doesn't care for that lost item.
You are writing moments that people will learn from, grow from, and heal through for thousands of years. Together, we are co-authoring a unique moment in time. That DNA, those fingerprints, they're going to be gone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But it is your story that they will tell for thousands of years. But only if you leave it. Things that do not serve you must go. The longer you wait, the more time you give them to trick you into serving them. 22 homes in foster care, everything I wore as a scar, as a shame, things that started like Velcro on my spirit. After just a few months, then years, then decades, I had believed myself into believing that they were indelible tattoos. Sometimes we have to be broken down to appreciate the view once we start getting up. I want you to leave this place and know that you have been changed. Why? How do I know it's true? Because each of you has just changed me. Good morning to you. Ooh, you all are looking good today. I see you. Oh my goodness, what a wonderful day and what a wonderful way to start this day together. Why? Because when we come together in agreement, Woo! We fulfill one of the greatest promises available, that one that guarantees us where two or more of us coming with that mindset, that heart set, that ability to ease suffering in the world, and we're conscious of it. That's the key right there. Spiritual magic. That's what comes out the other end. Can I get an amen? Oh, there it is. I'll kick them off. There's one. Listen, welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm your host, Dr. Lauren, and another illuminated conversation right around the corner. We've got LISA HAMMETT in the house today, and we're going to talk about something that we all think we know, but doesn't have nothing to do with me. I'm speaking of burnout. Okay. A lot of us don't even know the warning signs. We may just think we're tired, we're distracted, we're irritable. Oftentimes, those could be red flags to, you guessed it, burnout. So we're going to talk about that. Real quick announcement before we get going. Listen, if you're by near a newsstand over the next few days, well, it'll be on sale through the last day, they tell me, of October. The current Los Angeles Tribune magazine, where you can find us inside. And when I say us, I mean myself and 16 of my coaching clients, if I can find it, 16 of us. When we went over to Romania, we went to Romania in May, the Power of We Symposium. It was the Legacy of Hope tour. And where is it? There it is. I know you'd have thought I'd have had paper clips and all kinds of bookmarks in the spot, but there we are, the Legacy of Hope tour. So if you happen to see it on the newsstands, pick yourself up one, would you please? Right there it is. It's the bell of purpose, not a show prop, not a gimmick, but I refer to it as a reminder, an opportunity, if you will. Why? Because these topics that we talk about, what makes them illuminated conversations? Because inside of them, there's magic, there's hope, there's opportunity for growth, for change, for healing. And so I know we're busy. I get it. We're doing a million things all at once, but I don't want us to get so busy that we miss some truth when it's out there. So when you hear the bell, that's to lean in and tune in, okay? One last thing. Help me welcome to the show. She's been here all 7 years. This is my sidekick. She's my version of Ed McMahon. It's Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. And why is she here? I love me some Lucy. You better believe it. So, burnout. Do you think you know what it is? Have you ever experienced it? If you've experienced burnout, even in a little bit, put it in the comments, because we want to know what you think about this subject today. This is interactive. So ask your questions, make your comments, and let's get to it, shall we? Let's bring Miss LISA in here. And she even looks smart. So I think we can trust what she has to say. And she's never been here before. So here we go. Our virtual way of standing to our feet, wrapping some love around this woman because she's here to pour into us. So put some virtual hearts, won't you please, on the screen as we welcome our guest today. Here she comes, LISA HAMMETT. Good morning, LISA.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here, Dr. Lauren. Thank you.
I'm excited you're here. I gotta listen. I'm goofy and I have ADHD, so I got to get this out of my system. I was been thinking about it since I saw you were coming on. I think about a week ago, and I was like, I wanted to ask you: did you ever work in corporate?
Oh, yes, I did. For 26 years, I was in the corporate retail sector. Yep.
Okay, and if we freeze, because I swear here in Chicago, they must get their internet from the dollar store. It's really crappy. So, and it's raining. To be fair to Comcast, it is storming out this morning here in the Chicagoland area. So bear with us. But if that should happen, you keep going. They can hear you, they can see you, and I'll come back in. You worked in corporate. You said yes, right?
I did. I was in the corporate retail sector for 26 years.
26 years. In all those years, I know you must have had one or two shitty bosses.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, yes. Did this ever come out of anyone's mouth? I can't believe you. Damn it, Hammett.
Maybe not exactly in those terms, but yes. Yes.
I just said your name rhymes with damn it. So
I know. I've heard that before.
So, listen, here's what I mean. I have your bio, and I'll let me just tell everybody a little bit, but then I'm going to dip out and let you just create your own vibe with the audience. I like that to happen. But I will say this about you. I know for a fact that you're an accomplished motivational speaker. You're also a TEDx speaker. You have an internationally best-selling book. I think you cleared 16 categories when you came out with the book, From Burnout to Best Life. That tells you right there, folks, how important this information is to thousands of people. So the book is From Burnout to Best Life, How to Take Charge of Your Health and Your Happiness. Now, I added a couple words in there, but you get it. So another thing about Lisa or two is that she's a certified positive intelligence. That's a PQ coach and a wellness expert. The two kind of go hand in hand when you get down to brass tacks. And she loves helping HR and healthcare executives manage stress, improve productivity and communication, and most importantly, to regain their health and well-being. And Lisa, you have over 26 years of experience in the corporate retail industry, which you told us. But now I'm going to dip out, give you 30 seconds or so, just get at the folks, and then I'm going to pop back in and we'll officially get started. Sound okay?
Sounds great.
All right, take it away. All you.
All right. Well, it's so good to be here with y'all. So my experience in the corporate retail sector led me to burnout. And I know we're going to talk more in depth about this today. But if you would take away anything today as you're listening to it, I want you to think about maybe those subtle warning signs that you're choosing to ignore, because we love to do that. You know, when life gets really stressful and crazy, we're like, I don't have time to deal with that. Or, oh, I'm just being, a little dramatic, or I'm just going to let that go. Well, in my case, I let that happen and it expanded, and I ended up with serious health issues, both emotionally, physically. I almost lost my marriage. It was just a terrible thing. And again, they might seem subtle. It could be like a little tension headache that you're like, yeah, I just had a stressful day. I sat too long at my desk, that kind of thing. So think about that as we're chatting.
Okay, I got to go straight to this. Well, we're going to go all over the place. I am not one to start at square A of the sidewalk and walk all the way down A, B, C, D. I'll go to J, back to C. I'm just all over the place. But try to track me. Try to track me. Keep up, Lisa Hammett. Keep up.
I got it.
I got to go back to the thing, because a lot of us in our relationships, and the reason I go there is because I have a feeling I'm guilty of it. Now, I'm married to a therapist, and it takes a lot for my husband to break and come back at me. He'll usually just let things go and understand Lauren's having that day. I'm not going to take it personally, but then sometimes he'll go, and I'm getting sick and tired of it. And I'm like, I crossed the damn line this time. Right. So with you, looking at you, one would never think you nearly lost your marriage because of burnout. So can you just give us an example of what that felt like and looked like? First of all, were you aware that this was having an impact on your marriage, or were you just oblivious?
I wasn't oblivious. I knew that it was having some kind of impact, but I mean, it took my husband to say, I love you, but I don't like you. You're a nightmare to be around. And
Not
it
a
was
nightmare.
a nightmare. And he was 100% correct, because I was so burned out and so stressed, and I lived and breathed work. He was definitely secondary. And I just was so consumed for work. And I just felt like I just had to focus on it all the time. I could barely tread water. And, my communication with my husband started to suffer. And I was short and I wasn't listening. And it just unraveled. And I'm so thankful that my husband actually said that to me.
Wow.
Because it just kind of validated for me that, you know what, you were going down the wrong path. And in the whole scheme of things, if you were to look back on your life, is your marriage more important than your job? And yes, it is. But I was not, putting that priority in my life.
You were not.
I was not.
Were people trying to get at you, like, say, if you have a best friend or a sister or a colleague that you're close, you eat lunch with or whatever, did people try to say, Lisa, is everything all right? Or did they see anything and try to ask you what was going on? Or was it just like, she's got her resting bitch face on today, leave her alone?
Probably part of that. And also, the people that I was closest to at the time were also in that type of environment. So, I
Oh,
mean, I hate to say it, but it kind of turned into, when we talked often, into that bitch session, about, oh, yeah, this really stinks, or blah, blah, blah. And, it makes me look back now from a different lens and recognize how negative I was. It wasn't that life just sucked on all levels, but I was so negative.
yeah.
And the conversations that I often had with people were very negative. And now, man, I've
Hmm.
completely turned that around. So I'm like, no time for negativity. And if I see it coming, man, I'm like, okay, I'm going in the other direction, because protecting your energy is so important.
Absolutely. And when you think of it in those terms, the birds of a feather, the law of attraction, those are the same things. They're synonymous.
Yep.
Um, it really is an important choice to make, because it can get out of hand. It can get away from you, and it can get
Yes.
away quickly. I want to, one of the things I want us to talk about today, Lisa, is it's just like, when a hairdresser, her hair is usually in the worst shape because she's always doing everybody else's hair. Now, I know a lot of, not just corporate people, a lot of us go straight to the corporate door. Burnout, burnout, shoot, because I have some coaching clients. I'm going to tell you, corporate is chewing their ass up.
Yep.
I'm not kidding you. Sometimes I just have to, they come in a session, I look at them, takes 2 seconds, and I'm like, we need to reschedule. And they're like, why? What do you mean? And I'm like, Lord, I don't want any of that to splash off on me. But
Right.
but here's the deal. It's not just corporate anymore. Solopreneurs, people working remotely. I know, because when my clients come up MIA,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? They don't book their sessions, or they're at the last minute, because they know I'm a clock it. I'm going to say, what's going on? Stop the
Mhm.
presses. So let me ask you this.
Mhm.
We're going to definitely get into some of the warning signs, but let's talk about some of the common misconceptions, things that people call burnout, or just think it's automatically say, I'm just tired, or
Mhm.
I had a bad day. How it's hard to pinpoint burnout. Now, I've spoken at a lot of places. There are a lot of industries: nursing, allied health, a lot of what is it? The special needs schools used to call me
Yes.
all the time because
Mhm.
their staff was just turnover, turnover, turnover. So let's talk about this. What are, in your opinion, some of the misconceptions? How are people being duped or fooled into becoming complacent, and being, until they find themselves knee deep in burnout?
That's a great question. I think a lot of it is who our influencers are in our life. And that could have been how we were raised. We could have been raised in a household that, suck it up. Your emotions are ridiculous. You're being dramatic, or, you have to work just crazy, crazy hard. And not everybody has to like their job, and just deal with it. It could just be how you were raised. I was raised, my parents, it was interesting. My dad was incredibly loving. My mother was bipolar. I'm adopted. And she was either happy as can be, or just completely, push me away, like I didn't even exist. So it was one extreme or the other. But they grew up in the Great Depression,
Mm,
and drama and feeling your feelings was not something that you did. And oftentimes, especially in the corporate sector, that creating that space for authenticity and allowing yourself to feel those feelings and to share them. And I'm not saying to be a drama queen at work, but
yeah.
you have to have those authentic conversations. And when it's consistently pushed down, that can certainly create, burnout. And you could be thinking that, oh, these serious symptoms, I'm just being dramatic, because that's what I was told.
Yes. Yes. And
So,
I get it. I bet when people read did I read that part of your bio about how you specialize in working with HR? And
mhm.
we have a good friend. Hi, Joy
Hi,
Turner,
Joy.
who is a HR specialist. And when she comes
Great.
over to just kick it with us, she talks about things like how she jokes with my husband, who's a therapist, that she feels
Mm.
like a therapist much of the time because
Yeah.
everybody comes into her office to bitch and complain. And it's not just about things on the floor at work.
Right.
And so my next question is based on things I've heard her say. How prevalent is it, Lisa, that a lot of people think that burnout is solely attached to work? Like you only
Mm.
get burned out from work. You can get burned out from a lot of different categories, right?
Yes.
Name some
So
of
many.
those for us that people don't
So,
see.
yeah, you could be caring for a loved one. This often happens with aging parents who
Mm,
have health problems. And, if you're spending a lot of time at home and you're trying to care for them, and especially if financially they don't have the means to be able to get the care that they need. Maybe they need to go into an assisted living or a memory care facility and they don't have the means to do that. So then that care falls on a family member who is not trained necessarily to care for that. Or it could even be, a sibling that is just sucking the life out of them, or a marriage, a toxic marriage that,
that makes sense.
yeah.
Because we all know that person that everyone goes to. They're like a bartender where everyone drops their crap.
Yes.
Call Brenda. And they take it. It's all about that thing called holding space. We hear a
Yes.
lot now. And I'm a spiritualist, so I'm gonna use what everybody uses, the term woo-woo. And the thing about it is, I know people. I was at a retreat just a couple weeks ago, emceeing out in San Diego, and I had a conversation with half of the couple, the dynamic duo who staged this event, and the male part was talking about his female counterpart, how she hasn't sat down. She flew here, then she flew there, then she flew there. And the thing is, she's flying to all these places to help people live a higher quality life. And she's kind of dragging hers behind the getaway car, because she's married to the work, but she's the cans being drugged behind the car, if you see what I'm saying.
Totally.
She's not sitting up front where the bride and groom should be. And oftentimes, those who are promoting doing better are the ones who aren't doing it for themselves, if that makes any sense.
Oh, so true. So true.
And I include myself there. I really do. I'm going to tell you, I have no idea, not a single idea of what one of my flags would be to say, Lauren, you're crossing over into the land of burnout. I have no idea. Never identified it, written it down, never. And I want to throw this piece in so we can get to some solutions. Okay. Is this, I relate to remote workers now because I've always worked from home, even before COVID, right? But the thing I had to get in hand quickly was this. I wake up, I'm at work. I get off work, I'm at home. But sometimes I never leave. I can be down here in this studio for 20 hours straight. If I'm home alone and no one comes in, it can just carry me away and I don't realize it. Let's talk about people who are now working remotely. They used to get up from their cubicle or in their office and go home. Now they're at home. Have you seen a trend where the lines are being skewed like a tie-dye? It bleeds and one
totally
bleeds.
bleeds.
Okay.
Yes,
So there it
totally
is.
bleeds.
So there you go. All you remote workers, listen up. Take it away, Lisa.
Yes, it's so easy to let that life bleed together. And that's why it's so important that you schedule time to do things, whether it's, going for a walk or, listening to a podcast, watching your favorite show. It sounds so easy, I know. But when we are working in a different space from our home, we don't have that issue because we're out in a different environment. So we have to force ourselves to get out of our environment that we're in, because exactly how you described, Dr. Lauren, is you could just spend all day long in the same space. And before you know it, it's an 18-hour day. And you're like, oh my gosh, I never left these four walls. And it's terrible. So it's really finding things and setting consistent breaks on, okay, I'm going to get up and it might be 5 minutes. I have a super busy day, but I'm going to get outside and do something. Or I'm going to, if I need to grab something to eat, I'm going to go in the other room. I'm at least going to change this scenery, because it's crazy. You cannot stay in the same space.
Do you remember when COVID first started?
Yes.
I don't remember exactly what platform it was, but I think Alexa would got to be careful, because you'll jump to life on you. She'll come straight to, yeah. Well, let me tell you what I think. It's getting scary with her. But she used to say, time to get up and go for a walk. Time to go outside. She would say things like that. Do you remember that?
Totally. Yes.
Right. So people were already aware that we needed to do this, right? So let me ask you this. How come not once have I ever gone to the doctor with a litany of symptoms and heard them say, well, Lauren, you possibly could be headed towards or already within burnout? I don't hear that term come out of physicians' mouths. Why is that?
It's because, I hate to say this, and I'm generalizing, because I know not every single medical professional is this way, but a lot of them are, paid by pharmaceutical companies, and they are diagnosing a problem or a symptom, and they're trying to find a solution to help with the symptom, and they're not really digging deeper to get to the root cause. Now, again, I'm overgeneralizing, and if there's anybody in the medical space here who does not do that, I recognize that, but in a lot of cases, that's not the case. And doctors, oh my gosh, they get so burnout too. They're like, and they're short staffed, and they see 50 patients a day, and they've got 10 to 15 minute windows. They don't get breaks. They don't get lunches, and they just get burned out. And it's just like this receiving line, one after another. And so I can see why that could happen, but it's terrible. You can't just, here, have a Band-Aid. That's going to help the bleeding. That's no, it's really not.
And here's the thing. If you really paid close attention, for instance, people that, a lot of people have mentioned how, since COVID, even fast food restaurants, the lobbies will be closed. It's just drive-through, and everybody's saying you can't get people to work. But then the few that are there, even in hotels and stuff, they're always short, and one person is now doing the work of three in a lot of places, whether it's open and you can tell or not, know that it is happening. From the maids and the housekeeping people in hotels, all this, it is an epidemic. Yes, it really is. The pandemic created an epidemic. And so I want to talk about ways that we can help each other, not just those people that we have an intimate relationship with, where we can say, girl, you need to chill. What happened to the Brenda I used to know? That kind of thing. But what about just, what are some of the politically correct ways to help someone understand you might need a staycation?
I think a lot of times, and I'm going to go back to the hospitality industry. So this actually is a really good segue. So I was a speaker at an occupational health conference in Savannah in September. And I was talking to the events coordinator, I guess, at the hotel. And she described situations very similar to you about how people are just hating to come to work. It's the turnover's high. They can't find people who want to work. And it was causing a lot of stress. And she said, I still love my job, but it's really stressful. And she said, what I try to do is I come to work and be as positive as I can, and really, have those authentic conversations with people, and just give people some grace. And I would just say, overall, depending upon where you go, you might be going to Starbucks, you might be going to a restaurant, you could be going to a doctor's office, whatever it is, try to have some grace with those people that you're conversing with, because I'll tell you, they're having a tough day. They really are. And when people respond negatively to you or come across as rude or cold, it's on them. It's because of something they are experiencing. 9 times out of 10, it has absolutely nothing to do with you. And unfortunately, you're just on the receiving end. So really try to have some grace for these people and try to be kind. Now, I'm not saying, if somebody is really treating you like crap to accept that, absolutely not. But for the most part, something as simple as just being nice. And if they're saying, oh yeah, I'll try to be with you, whatever, say something like, it's okay. It's fine. Take your time. It's all good. Because when you come across as calm and kind to somebody, that will just immediately diffuse their negative energy. So your reaction and how you respond can directly influence somebody else.
Absolutely right. And I just love this topic. And we're going to get into, we're going to move into the arena of where you lost 60 some pounds. And that's what kind of triggered you to get into helping other people identify this issue we're talking about, burnout. But before we get into that story, I wanted to show a clip for everybody to kind of open it up because I want you guys to really ask your questions while you have Lisa here today, and don't just sprint past this topic, because I have a feeling that it can be a lot worse than we know. You understand what I'm saying? I just have a feeling that it leads to, for instance, I know personally speaking that I have experienced burnout when I couldn't sleep, but I've also experienced burnout when I slept too much.
Yep.
You see what I mean? And it's like, that's how fine this line is, right? So let's take this in here. I'm hoping that, wait a minute, I got to find something I'm trying to show. Okay. Share the screen. This burnout is now a legitimate diagnosis. It is a legitimate, I did not know this. Take a look at this short clip.
Burnout, not just a figure of speech anymore. It's actually been declared a legitimate medical diagnosis by the World Health Organization.
It is officially defined as a syndrome resulting from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. And there are 3 main symptoms.
Here they are: feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion, increased mental distance from one's job or negativity and cynicism related to one's job, and reduced professional effectiveness.
Check, check, and check. No, I'm kidding. NBC News medical correspondent who's very invigorated and happy to be here this morning, Dr. John Torres. So, a lot of people certainly have times of stress at their jobs. How do you know if you're actually experiencing this condition known as burnout?
It's interesting when people hear the symptoms, they're like, okay, I've been there before. I've
yes.
seen it. And we all have stress. Stress goes hand in hand with what we do every single day, but we're able to handle that stress. And that's what we do as humans. We get the stress, we handle it, we get it under control, come back the next day, do it over and over again. If that stress goes continuous, then it starts turning into burnout. And burnout is one of those things that doesn't go away. And I always tell people, you can tell you have burnout if you simply just don't want to go into work, don't want to be there, or having issues with work. And so again, the two go hand in hand. Stress is something we can handle and control. Burnout, not necessarily.
Well, what can we do about it? A lot of folks have jobs that are very stressful, and oftentimes I would imagine that is what leads to the burnout.
You can quit on live TV.
I'm not quite there yet.
Well, first and foremost, you want to recognize the symptoms. You want to recognize the cynicism, the fact that you're at work and you simply don't want to be there. You're burning out. You're not able to enjoy the things you used to enjoy. Try and take time off from work if you can. And that means just completely disconnecting. And like you said, over the 3-day holiday, hopefully people were able to do that and they were able to get away a little bit, and that can reinvigorate you. And if worse comes to worse and none of these seem to be working, then simply look for another job if you can. Consider changing jobs.
What can management do to help alleviate this?
So management can do a couple of things, and one of them is they can give you time off where they don't contact you and they don't get a hold of you. And that's probably the biggest thing, because we've all been there on the weekends where we're answering emails and taking care of things. If you can just check out completely. And I tell people, imagine if you just went on a camping trip and you couldn't answer your cell phone for 3 days, or you couldn't get an email for 3 days. That's the kind of break you need. And it might not be 3 days long, but you need it every now and then. And if you're getting to the point, look at your employees. If they look like they're starting to burn out, if they're starting to be cynical, if they're starting to be a little snippy at work and arguing with each other, productivity is going down, that's probably a good sign that burnout's starting to happen. And that's when a good manager needs to come in and say, we need to take
But if you can't really...
So Lisa, a lot of things that you had already spoken of, but it's interesting that they're specifically targeting the workplace. And we've already established that burnout can happen from a multitude of directions,
Mhm.
right? So
Absolutely.
are the symptoms the same coming from all directions? For instance, if a person's burned out because she has 3 kids under 5, a woman, or a father, even a parent, let's say a parent, are the warning signs the same as if at work? Is there cynicism in the household? What does it, you see what I'm saying? It's so, like, seems like
Yes.
it's all over the place, the needle.
It really is. And you know, a lot of the symptoms are the same. I'm not saying in every circumstance they will be the same,
Right.
but you know, some people just completely just check out, you know, that quiet quitting that we hear so common, you know, now in the workplace. You know, they just completely disconnect. At home, they can't necessarily do that, just disconnect, but they're totally stressed. They might be forgetful. They might, you know, snap at their children, or they could get really weepy and crying a lot, overly emotional. You know, there can be different things. And then in extreme depression, you know, maybe it's like in my mother's case, where she just took to the bedroom and shut the door and then just completely disconnected. So, you know, it really depends on the person and the situation. But the key, again, is recognizing that it's not something exactly what he had said that goes away. It only gets worse. And unfortunately, it can lead to such serious health problems that could include death, to be very dramatic, I know,
Sure,
but it's so
sure.
true, or just seriously debilitating health problems and emotional problems that you cannot function. So you lose a marriage, you lose a job, you know, you have disabilities, you know, there's so many things. So again, it's pay attention and, you know, reach out to somebody. Find somebody that you can talk to.
Right, right.
That's
Let's
so
talk about
important.
you. Let's talk about you
Yeah.
because I'm assuming that when you did this turnaround and you lost all that weight, you were looking for some way to change the course
Yes.
of the way things were flowing. And it sounds like you chose something holistically based
Yes.
instead of saying, Doc, what do I need to numb this?
Yeah.
Because I think we should talk about that. If you understand that burnout is something that won't go away, but you can reverse it,
Mhm.
you won't be so inclined to say, write me a prescription. So let's talk about that too, because
Yeah.
a lot of people, I think, I don't know, but I'm assuming, I have a
Mhm.
hunch that a lot of people end up on prescription meds that they necessarily don't need because
Yes.
it's burnout, but it's being called something else. Talk about that if you could.
Exactly. That's so true. And, you know, there are situations where people maybe have suffered from chronic depression. It runs in their family. You know, like in my mother's case, she had mental illness, you know, for years. So it was evident. But to your point, Dr. Laura, not a lot of people experience that. They're just in a really, really bad place. And I am not a proponent of here, push a pill on it, because again, that's like a band-aid effect. It doesn't solve the problem. All it does is mask the
Mask
symptoms.
it. Yep,
And, you know, alcoholism, became huge, and it still is a problem, but became huge during the pandemic because again, people use that as a way to cope because it kind of helped numb. You know, and I'm not sitting here to preach, say don't drink alcohol, but the point is if you're using something to cope, then okay, you have a problem and you need to talk to somebody. And you know, most of the time it just involves talking to somebody first of all, because when you start to get in that really bad place, you tend to think that, oh my gosh, I'm the only person that is experiencing this, which is absolutely not true. There are so many people out there that are experiencing what you are experiencing. And, you know, when you can find somebody that you can talk to who you trust and you feel comfortable with, that can really shed some light. And especially if they're objective, because they can recognize some of those warning signs that you can't. So I would say definitely, you know, find that objective third party person first.
Makes perfect sense. Now, you wrote the book. You wrote the book. Talk about, there it is, From Burnout to Best Life. How long is that road? I'm standing on, I'm at the sign that says, welcome to burnout, population infinity. And I want to travel over to the county of best life. How many miles am I going to have to travel? That's,
Again, it depends on how far off you are from, I don't want to say your happy place, but your best life. If you had allowed yourself to get into such a state like I did, where I was 65 pounds overweight, I was emotionally just an absolute mess. I was depressed. Yeah, life was just horrible. It took me, just to lose the weight, it took me about a year to lose the 65 pounds. And then, you have to focus on building those sustainable, healthy habits. And in addition to just losing the weight, I had to do a lot of self-development work on myself as well, and change that negative mindset. Because I'll tell you, when you reach burnout, your mindset is crap. It is terrible.
Did you wake up and just go, what the hell? How did I get here? Like, you look around and there's potato chip bags in the bed with you. You look down, you're going out and you got two different shoes on. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, so take us through some of the things that are inside the book that you have put out there to help people kind of pull themselves out of what they don't need or what isn't serving them into a better place. I'm sure it's not, just disclaimer wise, not guaranteed that this is going to be what works, but some of these things are proven to work. Should you choose to. So talk about some of those things that
I want to touch on something that you said too. What was it that you just, woke up one morning? And I'll tell you, I woke up one morning and the world looked gray. There was no color in it. I looked outside and the world looked gray, and it completely freaked me out. So that was my wake up call. And I consider myself a pretty energetic, vibrant person, and to look at the world and see it as gray, it really terrified me.
Did it scare you? What did it do?
Yeah, it really scared me, and I'm like, wow, something is not right, because I don't think that way typically. And I'm like, I need help and I need to make changes. And that's what caused me to just quit my job without an exit strategy of how to replace a high salary, which then led to bankruptcy and a lot of other issues, and which I didn't talk about. But, so that was all part of the recovery process. But the book, you did ask me, the book.
Yes.
So really the book takes you from starting with a vision. Now, when we are in such a bad, toxic place, we've lost the capacity to dream. We can't. It is so difficult to look past this crap, this mire, this muck that we're in. And we have to just get fully present and then really start to allow ourselves to dream. So I walk the reader through an exercise, and I actually have a workbook that goes with this as well, that walks the reader through how, what are your core values? What are most important to you in life? And then what are you passionate about? And what are your strengths? And those could be like your God-given talents, or they could be those things that you develop as you move along in your career. So it's really coming with this vision statement, this why, and allowing yourself, okay, I don't know how I'm going to get to this place. I'm obviously stuck in this shit show, basically.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I believe, I choose to believe, I want to believe that life can be better. So they start with that. And then, once you have that and it's attached to a why, then you can start focusing on setting smarter goals and, then breaking them down into action items. There's a big section in the book on mindset and how what we think about repetitively impacts our belief system, which drives our behavior. And, that's why I was so passionate about getting certified as a positive intelligence PQ coach, because it's all about identifying those negative thought patterns. Now, that's not in the book because I went through that process after I wrote the book. But But there's a lot of really great nuggets about mindset and identifying negative thought patterns and how that impacts our life. Because if we consistently say, we'll never be happy, we'll never be successful, life sucks, okay, you're going to have a pretty miserable life.
So
Say it.
you know, you made me think about it. And it's not a shameless plug, but here it goes. It's in my master
Shame
class.
away.
It's a shameless plug, but it's
Yeah.
true. It's in my master class where I say, and I can reach for the proof right here. And this is what I was talking about. Just one of the examples. I found that for proper maintenance of all things that serve me, I have to be so honest with myself that I run ahead in time, so to speak. When I am at my best, or I'm at a milestone moment or a great accomplishment, I'm feeling my strongest, that I know myself well enough to go, okay, maybe I should mark the passage in this book, hence there being a paperclip, and or underline it or highlight this and put it within reach, so that when and if, which it will happen, I sit in this chair and I'm not this person, I have something within reach to remind me of what is available.
Yes.
That thing to pull on, because I learned the hard way. I can't always count on someone else to throw me
So true.
a life saver,
Yeah.
a raft, whatever it's going to be to keep me afloat. Sometimes I have to consider that. What if it's only me?
Mhm.
So let me ask you this. When you do your success coaching
Mhm.
with people, do you find, because I believe this to be true, you know, we always hear that some people just don't know how to say no. But and I had to learn how to do that by saying
Me
to people,
too.
well, Lisa, how do you think you best need to handle this? Or something, like giving it back to you. But I've also learned in my own journey, not only do sometimes I don't know when to say no, I also don't know how to say yes.
Mm.
Yes, I need a break. Yes, Lauren, you deserve to have a mental health day, a mental wellness day, a day of respite, and not feel guilty about it. Talk about how we can learn to work with ourselves and not against ourselves.
Oh, I love this topic. When I speak to audiences, I speak about healthy boundaries all the time, and
Perfect.
this absolutely ties into that. So, I always tell people that when you are constantly saying yes to things, you're inadvertently saying no to something else. And is what you're inadvertently saying no to more important than all this other crap that you're saying yes to? And 9 times out of 10 it is. And we often put ourselves last in that priority. So we're not getting the right sleep. We're not, taking the breaks. We're constantly doing for others because it's a human trait to want to be liked and to people please. But that can really get us into trouble when we're constantly being there for somebody else and our needs are not getting met.
Amen.
So when it comes to saying no, it's all in how you say it. And don't provide a dissertation. I tell people that all the time. You hear that no is a complete sentence. I understand that for some people that might be uncomfortable because, just saying no might seem a little abrupt or off-putting, but it could be something as simple as, thank you for that invitation, I have to decline, or my schedule's so full right now, I have to decline. And don't apologize. That's the thing. Oftentimes we feel like we have to apologize all the time. It's like, oh gosh, Dr. Lauren, thank you so much. Oh, I want to, and I can't, and I'm so sorry. And I want to because I know it's so good, but I can't. I'm so sorry. Well, that makes us appear weak and we lack conviction. And we should never, ever, ever apologize for putting ourselves first, ever. And I know some people listening to this may think, oh my gosh, that's so selfish. It's like, no, because if we don't properly care for ourselves, we can't be there for anybody else.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
No, we can't. And we've got that so backwards. And we have got to take care of ourselves first. And you hear that analogy of put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you do it on the other person. Well, there's truth in that. Take
Amen.
care of you. You can be a better person and you can be there for others. So saying no is so important.
Amen to that. Now,
Amen.
here's another thing I want you to hit on. We've got about 6-7 minutes left, so plenty of time.
Okay.
I refer to it with my coaching clients and just in my own journey. I have to remind myself consistently to identify low yield investments is how I refer to them. And that means, and primarily I'm talking about people. Low yield investments where they, you keep giving. It's like when you loan money. Y'all know when you loan money to somebody and then you go, I should have known. Some told me I am never loaning money again. Low yield investments. And you have to be careful because not only does it burn you out, but it can literally rob you of your divine need to be of service. It robs you of the joy of helping. And you just whitewash everything and say, that's it. I'm done. I'm not helping another person. So be it. And you're miserable because you can't be your authentic self.
Right.
So can you shed a little light, if you could, Lisa, on how to identify those investments that are low yielding or things that just don't serve us? And oftentimes we've got plenty of social proof.
Yes.
But we keep doing it anyway. What is that?
So I call those energy drainers. And it is so imperative to protect your energy. And energy drainers can be people, like you refer to. It could be environments that are toxic, that suck the energy from you. It can be social media. It could be television. It could be the news. These are all energy drainers. But in relation to people and those relationships, if you are around somebody consistently and you feel like you have to put forth all the effort and you feel like maybe when you first get into their presence, you feel pretty positive, life is good. But by the end of that connection, you literally feel like the life is being sucked out of you. They're an energy vampire, basically. And you have got to either remove them from your life or you need to limit exposure. Now, oftentimes this could be a coworker, it could be a family member, and I'm not saying that you just can extricate people from your life, but you can certainly limit exposure. And when you know that you are going to be in a place with them, you need to go in with as positive a mental charge as possible. And, I do little micro meditations that are called PQ reps, by engaging my senses. But you could even focus on gratitude. A lot of people understand gratitude. Just before you go in to see that person, just start rattling off everything that you're grateful for so that you are in a good headspace. So when their energy starts to drain you, you're like, okay, I'm going to get in and I'm going to get out.
I feel the shift.
Yeah.
I feel the shift. The air in the room has been sucked out. Yes.
Yes.
And that's when you change the air in the tank. I get it.
1000%.
Last question. Boy, this has been informative today. How important is it to know when you are in environments, navigating through neighborhoods where you are celebrated, as opposed to constantly going to those areas and those neighborhoods in environments where you're merely tolerated?
Oh, that's so good. When you're celebrated, again, it's an energy thing. You feel uplifted. These people are supportive. They're encouraging.
Right.
You've heard, I'm sure you've heard this before, that you're supposed to surround yourself with people who are really better than you.
Yeah.
People who you want to aspire to be like, who are going to lift you up. You don't want to be with a bunch of people who aren't quite to the level where you are, because they're not going to push you to better yourself. And I'm not saying that you have to always, 100% of the time, always be around people who are, so far ahead of you.
Yeah.
But for the most part, yes, you do. Those people that you spend the most time with, those need to be those authentic, supportive, people that want you to be your true authentic self. If you're going into a situation and you don't feel like you can truly be yourself, that's the wrong environment for you, because you're basically saying, I'm an imposter and I can't be myself. And that's terrible. Terrible.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful information there. Really powerful, Lisa. Wow. Can you take a moment and tell everybody about this free offer that is ticker taping along the bottom, where you can take a free stress and wellness checkup?
Yes. So it's absolutely free. You can go, and if you've been listening to this conversation and you're thinking, wow, I might have some burnout symptoms, or there's an area of my life that's not where it needs to be.
Yeah.
I encourage you to take this. It takes maybe 5 minutes. It'll ask you all kinds of questions about, your mindset, and about how you feed your body, how you move your body, your sleep habits, hydration. It's a holistic approach to your health and wellness. And I encourage you to do that and get your score. And when you complete it, I will also get a copy of it. And then I encourage you let's have a conversation. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. It's a simple conversation, and let's talk about your scores and how you can improve upon that. So this is a free stress and wellness checkup.
I love it. And thank you for that added value. Listen, you guys, I have taken the liberty of dropping that link to take this free stress and wellness checkup. It's at the very top of your comment section. I put it in before we even began, so it is there waiting for you for easy access. Also, you can find more about Lisa at LinkedIn. There's the link for that. Or you can head over and check out the book through the website, /Burnout to Best Life. And again, it is there at lisahammett.com. That and much, much more. Lisa, I want to thank you so much. It's been so informative, and you made it exciting and not boring. You made it enlightening and not intimidating. All the things that we need to reach higher levels and to find our highest self. So I thank you so much for that today. Hang out backstage. I want to throw an opportunity your way. If you have a moment, I won't take long. And listen, you guys, use the links to reach out and continue the dialogue. Preventative is the way. This world is moving in an alarmingly rapid pace, and you don't want to sprint through your life without being able to enjoy your life. Quality is for a reason. So take that with you. And I want to invite you to join me again tomorrow. God willing, I'll meet you over on the front porch where together we can have yet another illuminated conversation. And in the meantime, get out today, do whatever it takes to find your highest self. And as always, in closing, I want to say to you, I love, I absolutely love all of you. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Lisa, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
I just love what you do. I really do. And I love the way you do it. So thank you for that.
Thank you. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Same here. Get out of here, you guys. Have the best day ever. I hope you will join me tomorrow morning. Bye, all. Bye-bye.
Bye.